What's going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger, and we are back at you again today with another Madden 20 video. Today, we're going to be talking about some things that they went over on the live stream that ended just a little while ago. Lots of stuff to go over. The videos that I've been doing for the last couple weeks, I've been talking and going over the blog and then showing you footage from the actual stream. This video, I'm just going to go over the blog because the stream was like 45 minutes and I don't want to do another 30-minute video. I know those can get a little lengthy, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll probably drop another video tomorrow just discussing some gameplay legacy issues that they discussed on fixing, so that'll be good to look forward to. But let's go ahead and just jump right on over to the blog. So this is the Madden 20 Gameplay Deep Dive Part 2, mainly focusing on RPOs and playbook, I guess, additions and upgrades. So if you need a link to this blog, it will be down below in the description. They started the stream off by talking about X factors again. I think at this point we all kind of understand what they are and how they're going to work. They talked about playbooks. I'm going to summarize some of the stuff. They talked about playbooks and how they now have an in-game tool, or they have the tech to be able to upgrade playbooks throughout the year. They also talked about how, you know, with RPOs in the game, you're going to see teams, you know, such as the Eagles have a lot of RPOs, the Rams, and I am going to insert some different gameplay clips that they kind of showed throughout the stream at some point in this video. They showed the Rams with their unique kind of playoff or play action plays where they, you know, kind of toss it to a receiver on a jet sweep, things like that. They talked about the Cardinals head coach who came from Texas Tech, and he ran a college-styled offense there, and kind of that air attack, air raid is going to be incorporated into the Cardinals playbook, and that when these things kind of happen throughout the year, they're going to be able to update the playbooks. They said they would do it in 19, it never happened, but I feel a little more confident that they'll do it in 20. So let's talk about run-pass options. We got some nice, you know, images here. I'm not smart enough to understand all the X's and O's of RPOs, but it looks pretty cool, and with Anthony White talking about it, it really just, it looks like it could be very interesting. I think my favorite one out of all of these is the alert one. So the alert one, and that's going to be the one to the right, kind of by default, is a run play. So if you just snap the ball, don't do anything, the stretch is going to happen on that stretch alert looky play. If you don't press anything, the weak zone run on the one under that is just going to be a handoff to the left. But at any time, as soon as you snap that ball, say the slant here on stretch alert looky is the square receiver. I think normally that's the square, right? Before the handoff completes, you can hit square and they'll throw that pass. So if you're able to make the right reads, or your opponent run commits at you and you see everybody coming, or maybe you see, you know, just the corner one-on-one on that left side and the safety's coming down to the right to stop the run, bam, you hit the square button, you got a slant, could break it for a long play, but I really like that. And then, you know, on the zone weak one, instead of handing it off, you can throw a bubble screen. That one looks a little more risky to me. That could be picked off. The read RPOs are kind of like, you know, you're just going to make a decision. Do you hand off the ball or do you pass it? And same as peak. I believe with the peak ones, they said the default is a handoff. I'm sorry, no, the default is a throwing play. So with the peak, you hit the snap button, they're going to fake the handoff and then kind of get into a throwing motion. It's almost like a play action in my opinion. And then the read one is kind of like how options play now, where you have to hold down the X button to run the ball and not hold it down to pass the ball. So RPOs look interesting. I think out of the three, my favorite looks to be like the alert. It says to execute RPOs to their full potential, you want to get comfortable with the new mechanics first. The alert RPOs, you'll be able to abort the handoff by pressing the receiver icon, so that's the one I was talking about, to throw the ball at any time before the mesh is complete. On the peak and read RPOs, the mechanic is similar to read options that you've been accustomed to. Hold the A or X button to hand off, or press the receiver icon to throw the ball, either before the handoff is complete. The timing of these plays is just as important as the mechanics, since the offensive line will be in full run block mode. You'll need to make sure to get the ball out quick enough to avoid getting flagged for having illegal blockers downfield. That's really interesting. You will not be able to hold on to the ball long enough to take advantage of deeper routes and RPOs, which makes sense. So I'm not going to read in depth on all of these. You guys can check out the blog there, but that's basically how RPOs are going to work. Here are the jet sweep plays, and they did show some footage. I'm going to put it on your screen while I'm talking as well, but it's basically those plays where you might have a wide receiver come across, right, for a jet sweep, and you can either hand him off the ball and he's going to run with the jet sweep, or you can toss him the ball, which is kind of more modern day modes. Like, think of Brandon Cooks running from left to right. There's Jared Goff, almost called him Jeff Goff. Toss the ball to him, jet sweep. Or you can fake that, pull it back, and you got a pass play, and it looks like you can kind of make that decision on the fly. So that's really, really cool. A variety of team-specific passing concepts. For example, and this is something the Patriots do too, the Patriots' Hoss Juke concept is something you may recognize from their touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, the Raiders' Dragon spacing concept, and the Rams' jet sweep touch pass. So also, news kind of broke. The Eagles' Twitter account kind of broke the news, which is kind of cool to me. The Philly special will be in Madden 20. And there's the play art for it. They also showed, how the mechanics were going to work for that one. I remember last year when I was at EA Play, this is coming off the Super Bowl for the Eagles. A lot of people, including myself, were asking Clint, will the Philly special be in Madden? And their concern was that it was going to just be too glitchy or people would take advantage of it. So it is interesting to me that they did decide to go ahead and add it this year. Will it be glitchy? I don't know. If the mechanics work correctly, I'm all for it. I just don't want it to be something where you can run multiple times in a drive and it work. I don't want it to become like, the play action. I don't remember what it's called. Problem Right made it famous like maybe 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, it was like a PA, and you canceled the play action, and then you had like the deep crosser and somebody in the flat, and it was just unguardable. It was so tough. I don't want this or any of these plays to turn into that. So that is one thing that concerns me. We'll have to wait and see what happens at EA Play when we get to see this stuff. But it's intriguing for sure. So then it says, lastly, due to the work we did via title update in Madden 19, we plan to fully utilize our ability to support playbooks all year long. I talked about that earlier. I think for the most part that wraps it up. I'm just trying to think of anything that's not on the blog that they talked about. Playbooks, RPOs. I'm gonna do, well, I guess I'll just include in this video. So they talked about some legacy issues, things like spin moves and juke moves. They didn't say they were gonna tone them down, but they basically said, if a player gets tackled during a spin move and he's not gonna break a tackle on a spin move anymore, which is a pain point to me. When you try to spin, it should either be a tackle or it should be a miss. They also said that if your user controlling your defender and your opponent tries to spin past you, you're not going to get juked into an animation. You're going to have more control. Will that actually happen? I don't know, but spin moves were probably the top 3 biggest pain points for me when it came to Madden 19. So if those are nerfed a little bit, they did say that the stiff arm would work a little bit better. They also said, you know what, I'm just going to play the end of that part of the stream because I want you to hear it from RG himself. So that's all I got covering the RPOs and the gameplay. Very informative stream, a lot of information. Go to EA's Twitch page if you want to watch the whole thing. It was about 45 minutes long. So enjoy the rest of the video about these legacy gameplay issue fixes. And until tomorrow, we'll be back. Thank you for watching.
So the first thing for me is kind of locomotion improvements. And what that really is just like movement in general. If last year was the real player motion year, this year is definitely like real player motion 2.0. And what I mean by that is when you're playing a game, like what's the most important thing? It's moving your guy with the left stick. Like any video game, whether it's Madden, anything, control responsiveness is super important. And this year more than ever, I feel like my ball carrier, we just did a really good job of making them feel that responsive. Like when you see a hole open up, you're actually able to hit that hole, and it feels amazing. So just starting with the basics, just pure movement, by far one of my favorite things. That's on the offense and defensive side of the ball. The QA guys love how pursuit feels, how lurking around feels, responsiveness-wise. And yeah, just the ball carrier, you're just really able to make big plays with them.
Probably the first thing when you pick up the game, it's the most noticeable piece is like the left stick running feels better. I've asked a lot of people in the studio, I'm like, hey, how come? And they just said it's kind of 2.0. It's kind of the evolution of it. And it so enjoyable to have that left stick, just to see where you want to go and be able to get there and really feel good. It's definitely the first thing I noticed when I played. So
for sure.
Out.
So we had to call that out. A couple other things that are like in that area that I also really like are ball carrier moves. For example, like I don't know about you guys, but stiff arm for a long time just didn't feel like a great move for me. That was one of those things when we play the game, we realized like, wow, there really is room for improvement here. So stiff arm especially feels a lot better for the ball carrier, especially like in this situation. You know how like, before if you were head on, I could kind of stiff arm you, but when a guy was to your side, it was kind of hard. But that's like one of the best times you want to stiff arm.
Yeah, those back
long
long
like if
run,
I need to get you out of
away.
here. So now like if a guy's coming from your side or he's behind you, you can actually match a really nice animation, keep him at bay. Also with the ball carrier, fake outs seem better tuned, especially for the user. We know people gave us the feedback. It's okay when you fake out my AI defender, but when you fake out my user defender, I get pulled into some sort of animation. Not a great feeling. So the users rarely ever get faked out. And another thing with spin and jukes, which to me are your fake out mechanics, one thing we did is we kept those as fake out mechanics. So you won't get as many of those broken tackles. That kind of felt fluky with those. Like if I spun into you and spun into the tackle and then all of a sudden broke it, it's like, wait a minute, you weren't trying to break that tackle, you were trying to spin to get away from me. So we tuned that's to me like really phenomenal. It really helped balance juke and spin and also give the defensive user just the viable options he needs to counter it. Another big one. So you all know, like when you used to get an interception and then you stumble after the interception. Like you have the pick six, but for whatever reason you trip over your own feet, and it's really frustrating. Like we've all been there.
Especially because I don't get that many interceptions. So like when I do get them, I can't score in the red zone either, so I need to capitalize.
So we definitely just more work with our stumble logic, and it's just so much more improved about seeing your ball carrier kind of trip when they shouldn't be. It takes a lot more force to get them into that state now. So intercepting just naturally feels so much smoother with that change. You'll see it in other places, but interceptions is the main place that we're really feeling.
One other thing, how about anything with aggressive, conservative tuning, adjustments, anything in that area of the game that you guys touched on or would add anything to?
Say it again?
Anything about like aggressive
coaching adjustments?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the coaching adjustments, we have some stuff we're working on. One thing that we've definitely done is we removed the pass rush coaching adjustment. It's, I believe, accounted for now, and enough abilities and there's enough good ways to get pass rush. Without that, it caused us a lot of problems throughout the year, tuning-wise balance. When we talked to a lot of our game changers and people who played, they just felt the game would be more balanced without it. We could spend our dev resources elsewhere. So that one is gone. And then we have a few other tricks up our sleeves for that menu, but nothing that I think I can share right now.
Well, we'll have this platform going forward. Obviously, the goal here on this show is to tell you more about the game, Madden 20. And, of course, at EA Play, we will show you even more. We do have a little something to show you down here. I can't read it, but I think you know exactly what it is. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about these wide receiver hot routes here in Madden 20.
That is super dope. So what you're seeing right now is we did a lot of work to some of our legacy abilities. And one of those abilities in MUT, for those that aren't familiar with them, some of them were route chems. And what those route chems did last year was they pretty much just changed some of your hot routes by default. So how you had the 8 default hot routes that you see on the left, we would just change some of those. This year, now with the route chems, instead of taking away routes from you, we give you an additional 4. So what you're seeing right here is this would be a wide receiver who has a slot receiver route chem. So what that means is when he aligns in the slot receiver position, he's going to get those 4 additional hot routes that you see on the right that are on the D-pad, which is the crossing route, the post route, the corner, and the stop and go. And the cool thing about that is that's just the hot routes if you had a slot receiver. You could have an ability that says, hey, if you're an outside specialist receiver, then when you're on the outside, you get 4 additional routes. You can combo them where sometimes it's a guy that, no matter where he aligns at the receiver position, he gets 4 additional ones. You'll have certain receiving backs that get additional hot routes when they're in the backfield, tight ends that get it when they're in the tight end position. And then the ultimate route chem that I'm most excited about is for our pocket passer, field general type of guys. They'll be able to get an ability which no matter who they're hot routing, they'll have the 4 additional hot route options. So this just gives you A great way to get creative, way more strategy at the line of scrimmage. A-Dub already does a lot of work with playbooks, but this was the type of thing that we felt would really help separate how efficient certain players are when it comes to strategy and just strictly scheming with them, not just what they do on the field. So that's one of my favorite abilities by far.
That's sweet. That's sweet. That's
super
sweet.
dope, right?